Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 2, Episode 3, and today, unfortunately, we're back a couple of games earlier than planned for what has now become a relegation six-pointer at home to Warrenpoint. Yes, after a brilliant start, we've started our slide down the table. We've started to struggle in front of goal again. All the same problems from last year. You can see at the bottom there, we've got the third best defensive record in the league. But unfortunately, we've also got the third worst record in front of goal. As a result, we've slid down to 9th place. And we're now just 5 points off the bottom of the league on Warrenpoint. But it's not all bad news, as remarkably we've had a job interview at a National League side. I saw a couple of jobs come up, one for Barnet and one for Halifax, and although we like what we're doing at Dungannon at the moment, we quite enjoy the squad. We A, haven't got much job security, and B, we promise to make this save realistic. If I'm out in Northern Ireland coaching a team for £375 or £400 a week now, and I've got the chance to come back to England, closer to home, less travel costs, and earn more money while doing so, I'm going to have to take that up. So I put a job application in at Halifax and Barnet. Barnet rejected me straight away. But Halifax have offered me an interview, and while I'm not the favourite, there's no real leading candidate at the moment, so maybe I will get a chance at that one. If we look at the National League table, they're a couple of points off safety, and they're expected to finish in a comfortable mid-table position, something I think they could comfortably do. But we'll put that on the back burner for now, and you'll soon know when we come back for the next episode whether that's been successful or not. The one thing I wanted to show you in detail before this game was what we've done with our mentoring groups. It's something I've really got the hang of now, and we're really starting to make the most of this golden generation we've had through, especially as we've now had to use a few of them in the first team due to injuries and suspensions. But before that, the other quick thing I've got to show you is how Hemel Hempstead are getting on. Somebody asked me the other day, so I said I'd show them. They've got Gary Hill in charge, a man who, as I'm recording this today, took over at Ebbsfleet in real life. But he's been given time to do exactly what I wanted to do, really. If we go and look at their transfer history from last season and their release players, they let Darren Ward, Yakubu, Laurie Walker and all the troublemakers, the experienced players, go. And they've brought in a lot of young players, including one very familiar name for those of you who are following my other story with Torquay United. A hero from that story, Jake Scrimshaw. And I tell you what, he's developing quite nicely on this game. So hopefully he'll be as good for us in part of the furniture. But that's not for us to worry about now either. They're one of the others they've also brought in is Jake Goodman, who I remember from having a loan at Luton a few years ago. He did there 12-13. Another good centre-half at that level. And they're up in the playoff places as a result. So they seem to be getting on quite well without us and are making us look bad. And it probably is affecting our reputation in England, combined with the fact that the board won't pay for us to have a coaching badge due to the low level of income at the club. So since you were last with me, we've played quite a few games. If we go to our schedule, you were last with me for that home doubleheader against Larne and Linfield, where refereeing decisions certainly cost us a result in the Larne game and set us back quite heavily in the Linfield match. We've had a few troubles with referees and our own discipline since then too. Immediately following that episode, we lost at Coleraine, and it was two of my heroes from FM18, the head coach. Kieran Harkin in particular got the first one, and Darren Macaulay with the second. But we then got a really creditable draw away to Glenarvan, Joe McKinney with the equaliser as we fought to a draw. We then drew at home to Crusaders as well, Daniel Hughes giving us the lead, ending a long goal drought which started to set him off on a bit of a run of form, but Martin Patterson equalised for them. Is that the Martin Patterson, formerly of Burnley? Let me go and have a look. It is Martin Patterson, formerly of Burnley. What a player he is to have in this league. No wonder they're doing well again this season. Cliftonville we then beat 3-1 at home. They're really struggling at the moment. They're one of the few sides below us. They've had an awful time since Harry Fay joined the club in the summer. And I'd like to think if they'd appointed us, we wouldn't have been that far down. Daniel Hughes continued his form with a brace in that one. And McElroy got a goal as well. But unfortunately both wingers picked up knocks which put them out for a couple of weeks. We then played Newry in the Bet McLean Cup, the club who were marooned at the bottom of this league last year and got relegated. Craig Taylor came in from the reserves due to that McElroy injury and got a brace, 2 brilliant goals to be fair, and ever since he's been back in the first team squad. But we haven't done too well in the league since. We lost 2-1 at Institute due to an awful refereeing decision again. Cadell got a second yellow card when it wasn't even a foul. We criticised the referee and didn't get punished for it. One of those ones where the FA stayed silent. So that obviously proved it was wrong. And we were also asked in a press conference about the introduction of technology due to poor refereeing decisions costing us. McKinney put us ahead in that one. And after the red card, with 10 men we couldn't cope. And we ended up losing with just a couple of minutes to go. You can ignore the friendlies because very weirdly for this league we've had a few 10 and 12 day gaps. We then played Glentoran in the league away from home. We lost 3-0 in that one. We were well and truly outplayed in truth. But to put it into perspective, Dan Rooney was playing on the right wing, our slow, unfit central midfielder. We then played Ballymena at home, the league leaders, and hold them to a 0-0 draw. We were actually probably the better side in this one. And again, it was just Daniel Hughes in front of goal who couldn't find a finishing touch. Before an absolutely devastating defeat against Coleraine, Daniel Hughes with 2 stupid yellow cards to leave us with 10 men for the last half an hour. We managed to hold on and get all the way to penalties, but we lost out 5-4, and our only penalty taker with a rating higher than 6 missed the penalty. But nevertheless, a brilliant performance, and hopefully our confidence won't be dented too much going into our game today. As you've noticed from those last few games, we've had a few young players featuring. Adam Brolly in that game there, as well as Marito Marçal, who we've had in a few times before. Against Ballymena, we had other players coming in. Declan Glasgow, the right winger. I think before that, Buchanan played a game as well. Another one that you probably haven't heard of since the youth intake day. So we've been getting a few of them in the team, but we wanted to make sure we could develop the ones who had poor personalities off the pitch. So I've really got to grips with this mentoring and tried to get the hang of it and make sure we get the most out of it. We've actually got 5 groups at the moment. Almost all of our first team are involved. We've got a few players with really strong personalities. Hegarty and Harkin at the back. Hegarty's obviously a team leader as well, so someone who can have a real influence on people. So we've got the 2 young centre-halves who had poor personalities working under him. One of them's already gone to fairly determined. And we've got a young winger, Buchanan, with a fickle character. So we thought if he's fickle, we want him working with someone who's got a big influence and someone who's got a resolute personality. So that's why he's in the group with Hegarty too. We've got Dougie Wilson in group 2. Just because he's an influential player, he's only got a balanced personality, but we want to get him influencing Billy Robinson and getting that level of ambition up slightly. Another one of our young fullbacks, and we've put our first choice left back in there as well, just to try and get the traits to carry over too. In mentoring group 3, we've got our highly determined, influential central midfielder, the big leader Sean and Clucas. We've got a couple of the youngsters, Declan Glasgow and McCallion alongside him. They've got temperamental or unambitious personalities. And most importantly, James Hogan, who's a young holding midfielder, but low determination is holding him back in training. He's one of our brightest prospects at the club, but he's been held back significantly at present. We've also put Declan Caddell in there just because he's got decent determination alongside Hogan and he's got an influence as an experienced player. And even if those 3 youngsters end up having balanced personalities, it's far better than what they've got at the moment. Mentoring group 4 is a bit of a weird one. We've got Marçal in there, the youngster, as well as Adam Brolly, who's got an influence on the group, even as a 16-year-old. He's a fairly professional personality, so we want others to follow that suit. Daniel Hughes is in there as well. He's got a decent determination stat, and he's fairly loyal, which isn't the worst personality in the world. And one of our other youngsters, Dan Rooney's in there, largely so he can learn how to take penalties. And the last group is just the 2 goalkeepers, the 38-year-old Jer Doherty and our backup 17-year-old Ben Gallagher. Doherty's a fairly professional personality and we just want Gallagher to have the chance to match up to that. And if all of those can sort their personalities out, in training they'll be flying and we'll have absolutely no trouble integrating them into the first team. It would almost be the perfect sort of leaving gift for me. I don't know whether the Halifax job will come up this soon or whether it'll be later on this season or next season. But if we can develop some of these youngsters and leave the club in a really good place, it would be a fantastic personal note for me. We've got good training facilities and an excellent youth recruitment. If we go and look at the facilities very quickly, obviously you saw our training facilities there. We've got good youth facilities as well, established youth recruitment it is, and good junior coaching. So it's just really a case of getting this club into a position where we can be full-time. And if we can get some of these players into the first team and get big money for them, that might be the case before long. It leads us on to our last point pre-match. Daniel Hughes is still wanted by a couple of the bigger sides in the league. He's banned at the moment, but his Crusaders chasing him. They've got money to burn after their big European ties last year. They've been spending around 60,000-70,000 on a few players, and if they bid the same for Hughes, there's no doubt our director of football will accept it. The other worry we have is a couple of our youngsters, Little and Hogan in particular. They've got Sligo Rovers from Republic of Ireland chasing them. Hopefully they won't go because they're players we're looking to build this future team around. But that's enough about all the off-the-pitch matters. We do like to focus on the coaching and the development of young players in this series. As we have no influence on transfers, it's the sort of thing that's very important to us. But now I've got the hang of the mentoring, it's something that I'm really quite keen on. And I've got quite a bit of interest in it and may show it again in the future as we move to new clubs and work under different director of footballs, bringing us different players in. It's a great way to adapt transfers that haven't got the personality you want, get them working under your key players and develop them into the players you would have signed originally. But into this big clash at the bottom, if we win this game, we're no longer relegation candidates. We're back into a comfortable mid-table position. The board just about consider us that at the moment, but if that gap goes to 2 points, I'm pretty sure they won't say that anymore. Daniel Hughes is suspended for that stupid challenge against Coleraine, but other than that, we're almost at full strength, and we've got a decent side out today. The only other ones missing out, Dan Rooney's tired from midweek playing 120 minutes. Reece Campbell similarly on the right wing, not quite fit just yet. And at left back, Maxwell's slightly tired, so he's just on the bench today, with O'Rourke coming in for him. It means we've got Doherty in goal, O'Rourke and Harkin are the fullbacks with Dykes and Hegarty in the middle, Cadell and Clucas the two ball-winning midfielders as we continue that experiment, McElroy and the youngster Declan Glasgow on the wings, with McKinney behind the young man Marcel up front. We're really looking for him to get back to goal-scoring ways. Three of the other youth prospects, Alan Little the centre-half, Brolly the centre-forward and Buchanan the winger, all on the bench for us today, alongside Craig Taylor, who's had a bit of resurgence in form since his big game against Newry in the Cup a couple of rounds ago. But let's get into the game and hope that we can get 3 points in a game we really need to. It's that weird 3-1-4-2 for Warrenpoint, a narrow formation that always causes us trouble, but hopefully we'll be able to do just enough today as we encourage the team into this first half. There's a bit of a turnout for this one, I'm not sure if that's our normal or not. You may have noticed at the start we've got one of the lowest attendances in the league on average, but that's just because we're a slightly smaller club at this level, and I really think the board expectations are slightly high for what we've got at our disposal. I really think avoiding relegation's a good job for us, as Doherty comes and flaps it across, and thankfully Warrenpoint miss an open goal from 6 yards. Hegarty with a free kick takes it to McKinney. Cadell in the middle of their half out to McElroy. He's got to the byline and delivers, but his cross is blocked and they can bring it away with Raya. Raya comes over halfway to Griffin. Griffin comes down the right hand side. Long ball over to McCarron. He's in 1-on-1. No marking at all there, and Doherty has to make a brilliant save down to his right and tips it behind for an in-swinging corner. Griffin's ball in's headed away by Cadell. Is one thing I've noticed as I've tried to adapt set pieces for this team is that we haven't got any aerial threats at all. Bar our two central defenders, we haven't got any players with a jumping stat of more than 10, and we haven't got any players with an aerial ability of more than 10, bar Jake Dykes, the centre-half. Even Hegarty hasn't got that. But he wins the ball from the front post in the corner. Hegarty can still jump. His flick-on finds O'Rourke, who's deputising at left-back today, and on the goal line he thrashes it in, and we take a 1-0 lead after 10 minutes. We've been half an hour without a highlight as McElroy has a free kick, but it's just over the bar, and with 5 minutes to half time it's 1-0. It's been an awful game, but if we can nick a 1-0 win, we won't care. Clucas gets it over to Marcel. He puts it in the back of the net, but it's offside. He slid it beautifully into the bottom corner. I'm not sure if he was off, but at this sort of level we don't have VAR, and as a result we have to put up with it. We're into the second minutes of stoppage time at the first half. It's a long goal kick from Warrenpoint and they've got possession on halfway. Harkin's picked up a knock, but we've been told he can carry on, although McNulty's an awful fullback, so hopefully he won't have to come in for too long. It's half time and we're 1-0 up despite a relatively poor game and a poor performance. Let's encourage the lads. They've done well so far. We'll be passionate about it as well to try and keep them on side. We have had McNulty trying to start a dressing room revolt. He's turned out to be a really poor signing and we've already got an agreement to offer him out in January. McKinney loses the ball from the centre kick and Harkin chases it back on the right. Griffin with a free kick for Warrenpoint. It's gone straight in the top corner. You think Doherty could have done better because he made it, but you can't complain when it's a 30-yard free kick like that. And it's 1-1 and Warrenpoint are in the ascendancy now. Griffin with a free kick in again, which Dykes heads away. Lynch with a volley and it hits the post. And luckily it falls back out to Doherty. It's now our chance to have an attacking throw. Far more action at the start of this second half. The ball comes out to Clucas, who switches it over to Harkin. We've got the warning to close Griffin down. Into McKinney. McKinney volleys it in with his left foot. What a ball over from Harkin on the right-hand side. We've just had a warning to say he's made a lot of mistakes today, but I'm pretty sure his rating will go up with that assist. Griffin has another free kick which hits the target, and Doherty makes the save. They've gone to that 3-4-3. We know this is going to end badly. We cannot cope with 3 at the front. We've never been able to do it in FM18 or 19. If anyone knows how to do it yet, please let me know, because I still struggle with it immensely. But over the hour mark, we're holding on for now. And we'll think about some subs in a minute as Doherty has the goal kick. Long ball forward, which is lost out in the air. Hegarty's got the ball over the top for Marcel. McKinney wins it though into Marcel, 1-on-1. Got a score, he does. What a finish by Marito Marcel. And his finishing is so different to Hughes. It's just a shame he can't hold the ball up as well. But what a performance from him. And at 3-1, you've got to hope we can hold on. And we've even forced Warrenpoint back to a front two as they start to give up on a result. That's something that's really important because with the front three, they could have scored 4 or 5. Lynch with a ball over to McCarron, and we've given them hope again, but Doherty makes a brilliant save to keep it at 3-1. We're down to the last 15 minutes now, so we're going to take Declan Glasgow off one of the youngsters. He's replaced by another one in Buchanan because they're the only players we've got available on the right wing. McElroy's a bit tired as well, but I don't want to make the change just yet. I'll give it 5 more minutes before I take another one of the experienced men off. We've got a warning for Harkin to ease off tackles, just because he's been struggling with the yellow card and an injury already. His injury's only a pulled wrist, so hopefully that won't affect him. We've got 5 minutes to go now. It's Warrenpoint with the attack. We will make the sub after it, but we need to make sure we don't concede first. O'Rourke heads it away, but it's not clear. Lavery's ball in, it deflects away, and Harkin can hoof it over halfway. It's gone straight to them again. Marcel's working hard and chasing back, but they've got the ball on the left in an attacking position. Lynch with the ball in which Dykes heads away, as far as Lavery this time. Back to right, and now Pedden in the middle of the pitch. The cross is blocked, and the long ball's going to be cleared by McElroy. Gets Marcel in behind. Can he beat the centre half to it? He can. He's been dragged wide, but crosses into McKinney. He's brought down, it's a penalty. He's been marked as the man to take the kick, and he will do. But before that penalty kick, we'll get McElroy off for Taylor, just as a bit of time wasting, and McKinney will hopefully wrap this game up for us from the spot. He's the only one with a penalty taken attribute of over 10, as you saw, so fingers crossed. I've actually got my hands clasped, and he puts it in the bottom corner. We're going to win this game and go comfortably into mid-table, and with the young side we've got, this is a wonderful achievement. Marcel, the youngster's been excellent. McKinney's got a couple of goals. He's been our star man this season. We've played 2 youth prospects from last season on the wings, as they hit the bar again, and Kalukas gets in front of the shot. Then Dykes on the rebound prevents the goal, and they've got another corner kick. Griffin with the in-swinger for them. With the commentary's been all over the place in this episode, I apologise for it. But we've got the result, and that's the most important thing. We've not performed beautifully, but we've done enough. We've got a good threat in behind with Marcel, and Hughes might find it difficult to get back in the team at this rate. Cadell heads the throw away and it's full time. We've won comfortably 4-1, but the scoreline certainly flatters us. Hegarty made his 125th league appearance and was an absolute rock at the back. We appreciate their efforts. We'll tell them it was a good result and performance. We need to get the confidence back up. We've got an international break, and then our next game's against Ards, who are right down there as well. They're in 10th place, 4 points behind. And if we win that game, we could potentially go up into 6th place, above both Linfield and Larne, who are struggling this season. If we look at what they've said about the game, a good rearguard action, we were brilliant at the back, and on the counter-attack we were fantastic. They're moaning about the pitch, but it's the same for both teams. Unfortunately, Harkin's got a knock, but he'll be back after the internationals. It just means he won't play for the under-19s, which might actually help us out. We'll give McKinney some praise because he was absolutely brilliant in that one. 2 goals and an assist, and someone who can finally score a penalty. So we'll praise him for his performance in front of goal, and we'll do the press conference off camera in a minute. If we go and have a look at the schedule, because we came back slightly early, we will take a break before the next one. I like the look at the end of the year of that home game against Institute. But we may be back a lot earlier yet, with that Halifax job still hanging in the balance. Hopefully they were watching that spirited performance, and they'll give me a chance in the National League as a result. If we do leave here, it will be with a heavy heart. But we have to keep this save realistic. If I start saying I'm going to turn down a club because I like the one I'm at, when financially it's something I'd never reject in real life, then I'm ruining the premise of this save. And to be honest, Halifax would be an exciting job as well, so I'd have no complaints if we ended up there. But that will be all for this episode. If you did enjoy it, please put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of that performance, and let me know your experiences of mentoring groups. Have you been using them yet? And have you seen any successes or benefits from them? I know my backroom advice reports get littered with messages to tell me that players have benefited from working with certain personalities. So hopefully you've had the same thing too. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager content from this FM19 story, The Head Coach, and our other series, Part of the Furniture, where we're trying to make it all the way to the top with Torquay United. We've had an action-packed few episodes in that one, so if you haven't seen any of that story yet, now's the perfect time to go and check it out. But a massive thanks for watching this episode and following the series as always, and we'll see you next time.